Relax into the quantum and let miracles unfold. My friends, tonight I invite you to do something you have long forgotten how to do. To relax. Not the lazy relaxation that collapses into despair, but the sacred ease of one who knows life is working in their favor. So many chase, struggle and strive, thinking the future is shaped by tension and effort. But what if the opposite were true? What if the miracles you long for are not summoned by strain but by surrender? Beyond the senses, beyond what you can touch and measure, there exists a vast invisible field, the quantum reality of life. In it every possibility exists. In it your desired life is already whole, already alive. You do not have to wrestle it into being. You need only relax into it, as a child rests in the arms of one they trust, and watch as miracles unfold. Tonight I will take you through 10 steps, not to force your life, but to ease into the rhythm of the unseen, and to experience the wonder that comes when you trust the invisible more than the visible. Release the grip of control. My friends, let us begin with the very thing that has chained most of humanity. The need to control. From the moment you open your eyes each morning, the mind begins to plan, to calculate, to manage, to anticipate. You hold on tightly to outcomes, to timetables, to people. You grip life as if it were a wild animal that might run away if you dare to relax your hand. And yet, in that very act of gripping, of straining, of tightening, you cut yourself off from the miracle that longs to flow to you. Think for a moment how much of your day is spent worrying about what must be done, how it must unfold, when it must arrive. The mind creates a cage of conditions. If this happens by then, I will be happy. If that person says this, I will feel secure. If life follows this exact map, then I will finally rest. But do you see the trap? You are saying to life, I do not trust you. I must control you. Only if you obey my plans will I relax. But life is not meant to be controlled. It is meant to be flowed with. It is an ocean, not a machine. You do not command the tide, you let it carry you. You do not dictate the wind. You open your sails. The first step into the quantum, the first step into miracles, is this. Release the grip of control. Now some of you may say, but if I let go, will not everything fall apart? Will not chaos swallow me? That is only the fear of the mind, for the mind believes it is the master. But beyond the mind is something higher, deeper, more intelligent than you can imagine. There is a current, invisible yet precise, guiding all things. When you release your grip, you do not fall into chaos, you fall into alignment. Imagine for a moment that you are standing in a river. The current is strong, flowing toward the ocean of your fulfillment. But instead of allowing it to carry you, you plant your feet, you push against it, you exhaust yourself in resistance. The river is not your enemy. It is your deliverance. To release control is to lift your feet, to allow yourself to be carried effortlessly. You may think control gives you power, but look closer. Control is born of fear, and fear always weakens. Control makes you rigid, anxious, small. Release makes you vast, free, alive. You have been taught that to let go is weakness, but I tell you, the strongest ones are those who trust the unseen, those who rest in faith, those who let the higher rhythm move them. So tonight I ask you, what are you gripping so tightly? Is it a relationship you are afraid to lose? Is it money you believe must come in a certain way? Is it recognition you think only one path can bring? Look at your clenched hands. Look at your tense heart. Every grip is a prison, and miracles cannot flow through closed fists. Open them, release. Let life move in ways your mind cannot calculate. Now hear me clearly. I am not saying to abandon your desires. I am saying to release your insistence on how they must unfold. Desire is holy. It is the seed, but the path of its blossoming is not your burden. You are not the gardener who forces the seed open. You are the one who plants and trusts, waters and waits, rests and knows. When you release control, something extraordinary happens. The body softens, the breath deepens, the mind quiets. And in that state you become receptive. You begin to feel the currents of life carrying you toward unexpected doors, toward surprising connections, toward outcomes greater than you planned. Control shrinks the field of possibility to the narrow lines of your logic. Release opens the gates of the infinite. So let this first step be your foundation. Loosen the grip. When fear tells you to hold tighter, open wider. When worry says, push harder, soften instead. When the mind screams, you must make it happen now, Smile and whisper, I trust it is already happening. For it is in surrender, not in struggle, that the quantum responds. It is in release, not in resistance, that the miracle begins to take shape. And as you practice this art of letting go, you will discover something astonishing. Life was never against you. It was always waiting for you to stop fighting, so it could finally deliver the abundance you were made for. Step 1 then is not about doing. It is about undoing. Not about grasping, but about opening. Not about forcing, but about trust. And when you release the grip of control, you will feel the first breath of freedom, the first taste of miracle, the first sign that the quantum field has heard your surrender and is ready to unfold wonders beyond your imagination. Enter the stillness within. My beloved friends, after you have released the grip of control, the next step is to enter the sacred space of stillness within yourself. For it is in stillness that the doorway to the quantum opens wide. You live in a world that worships noise. Noise of opinions, noise of schedules, noise of demands, noise of endless distractions that keep your attention scattered like broken glass. From the moment you wake until the moment you rest, your mind is bombarded with messages telling you who to be, what to want, how to fear, when to hurry. And in this storm of noise, you lose touch with the quiet truth at the center of your being. But hear me now, the miracle does not shout. The quantum does not compete with noise. The infinite does not scream for your attention. It whispers. It waits. It speaks in silence. And unless you cultivate stillness, you will not hear the voice that guides you into miracles. Think of the ocean. On the surface, waves crash, storms rage, winds howl, but dive deep enough and you find perfect calm. The surface may be chaos, but the depths are always still. Your mind is the surface. Thoughts rise, emotions crash, fears whip against you like a storm. But deeper within you is a stillness that has never been touched, never been shaken, never been moved. That stillness is your portal to the quantum. The step then is simple, yet it requires devotion. Enter the stillness within. When you sit in silence, when you allow yourself to step away from the noise, you begin to tune your being to a higher frequency. The world tells you stillness is a waste of time, that you must always be moving, doing, proving, running. But in truth, stillness is the highest form of action. For in stillness you align yourself with the intelligence that shapes galaxies. Some of you may say, but I cannot be still. My thoughts run wild. My body feels restless. My mind refuses to quiet. And I tell you, that is only the first layer of resistance. You have been addicted to noise, and like any addiction, the withdrawal will feel uncomfortable at first. But if you stay with it, if you breathe into it, if you gently return again and again, you will pierce through the surface storm and sink into the ocean of calm that has always been waiting for you. Do not think stillness requires you to sit cross-legged on a mountaintop. Stillness can be found in the simplest moments. Walking slowly under the night sky, watching the flame of a candle, sitting quietly in your room with no device, no demand, no distraction. Stillness is not about posture. It is about presence. It is not about escaping life. It is about sinking into the essence of life. And why is stillness so important for miracles? Because in stillness you stop broadcasting fear. In stillness the anxious vibration of worry dissolves. In stillness your energy shifts from resistance to receptivity. Imagine the quantum field as a vast mirror, reflecting back whatever you radiate. If you radiate noise, chaos and fear, the mirror sends it back amplified. But when you radiate stillness, calm and trust, the mirror reflects miracles, alignment, harmony. The world teaches you that answers come from outside, but I tell you the deepest answers, the truest directions, the most powerful insights come only when you listen inwardly. The stillness within is your compass. It is the voice of the infinite disguised as your own knowing. It does not argue, it does not push. It simply waits for you to be quiet enough to hear. Let me ask you, when was the last time you gave yourself the gift of silence? When was the last time you put everything down, the phone, the tasks, the conversations, and simply sat with yourself? Many fear stillness because in silence they confront themselves. They fear the thoughts that rise, the emotions that surface. But listen carefully. What rises in stillness is not there to torment you. It is there to be released. It is the noise leaving you. And beyond that noise lies clarity, so sharp, peace so deep, joy so pure, you will wonder why you ever feared it. Entering stillness is not withdrawal from life. It is stepping into the dimension that gives life its power. Imagine holding a bow. You cannot release the arrow unless you first pull back. Unless you draw into stillness, into pause, into focus. Life is the same. The pause, the silence, the stillness, that is the drawing back. And from that stillness, the arrow of your intention flies straight, swift and true, into the field of miracles. So I say to you tonight, make stillness your practice, not once a week, not once in a crisis, but daily, moment by moment, breath by breath. Enter the silence of your heart and rest there. Do not be discouraged if at first it feels empty. Keep going, for in that emptiness lies fullness. In that silence lies the song of the universe. The mind will resist. It will tell you stillness is useless, that you must get up but learn to smile at the mind's noise and return to the quiet. Each time you do, you strengthen your connection to the infinite, and soon you will discover something astonishing. The more you cultivate inner stillness, the more the outer world arranges itself in harmony with you. That is the paradox. When you stop fighting, when you stop running, when you sit in stillness, life begins to move on your behalf. Doors open, opportunities appear, synchronicities abound. Why? Because stillness tunes you to the rhythm of creation. You are no longer fighting against the current. You are flowing with it. Step 2 then is this. Enter the stillness within. Make silence your sanctuary, your daily practice, your home. For in that stillness you will hear the whispers of guidance. You will feel the presence of miracles, and you will rest in the truth that everything you desired is already unfolding. And when you live from that stillness, you do not chase miracles. You magnetize them. You do not beg for alignment. You embody it. You do not strain to manifest. You relax into the quantum. And life in its infinite wisdom delivers exactly what your soul has been waiting for. 3. Surrender the outcome. My friends, now that you have released control and entered stillness, the next step is perhaps the hardest for the mind, but the sweetest for the soul. You must surrender the outcome. This is where most stumble. They believe that the miracle will only appear if they can outline every detail, if they can dictate the how, the when, the where. They demand life follow their script, and when it doesn't, they fall into despair. But life is not a servant to your demands. It is a partner to your vision. And that partnership thrives not in force, but in surrender. Understand this. The infinite is already working in ways your mind cannot conceive. The paths are being laid, the people are being moved, the opportunities are lining. But when you cling too tightly to a specific outcome, you block the infinite from delivering something greater than you imagined. Surrender does not mean defeat. It does not mean giving up. It does not mean abandoning your desire. No. Surrender means releasing the rigid grip of expectation and allowing the intelligence of the quantum to surprise you. It is saying this or something greater. This desire or the higher good I cannot yet see. The human mind is small compared to the vast intelligence of creation. It plans, it calculates, it worries, but it cannot see all threads of destiny weaving together. The infinite sees every thread, and when you surrender, you allow those threads to weave in perfect harmony. Think of a farmer. He plants seeds in the soil. He waters, he cares, he nurtures, but he does not dig up the soil every hour to check if the seed is sprouting. He does not scream at the seed to hurry. He trusts the process. He knows that life itself holds the intelligence to bring forth the harvest. So why then do you dig up your desires with constant worry? Why do you scream at your manifestations to appear faster? Why do you assume you must force the outcome? Like the farmer, you must plant your vision and then let life bring it forth. Your job is to imagine, to nurture, to align, but the outcome belongs to the quantum. I tell you this. The greatest miracles often arrive in forms you did not expect. You may think you know how your blessing should appear, but life may have a path so much easier, so much richer, so much more aligned than your limited plan. If you insist it must come only in your way, you may miss the miracle standing right before you. To surrender the outcome is to live in trust. It is to believe that what you desire is already yours, though you cannot yet touch it. It is to know that unseen forces are arranging everything for your highest good. When you live in that trust, you stop asking, when will it come? How will it come? Where will it come from? Instead, you say, it is already on the way. I need only rest in faith. Some of you may resist it. You say, but if I don't control it, nothing will happen. Look closely at that thought. Has control ever truly worked? Has worry ever made anything arrive faster? Has fear ever birthed miracles? No. What you call control is really fear disguised as effort, and fear cannot create. Fear only blocks. Surrender, however, is the opposite. Surrender is love in action. Surrender is faith embodied. Surrender is aligning your will with the greater will of life itself. When you release the need to control, you create space. And in that space, miracles slip in quietly, elegantly, inevitably. I ask you now to imagine the relief that comes when you no longer have to carry the burden of outcomes. Imagine the lightness of planting your seed of desire, and then walking through your day knowing that the soil of the universe is already nurturing it. Imagine how free you feel when you no longer cling, no longer beg, no longer push, but simply allow. Does this mean you do nothing? No. You take inspired action when it arises. You follow the nudges, the guidance, the whispers that come from within, but you do not strain. You do not force. You do not panic. You flow. You move with grace. And with each step you affirm, life is carrying me to my good. Think of water flowing down a mountain. It does not force itself through the rocks. It finds the openings. It glides around the obstacles. It trusts gravity to carry it down. In the same way, when you surrender the outcome, your life becomes like water, flowing, graceful, unstoppable. And here is the paradox: when you surrender, what you desire comes more quickly. Why? Because you are no longer pushing against it with doubt, no longer choking it with control, no longer delaying it with resistance. You are in harmony with the quantum, and harmony always manifests swiftly. So tonight I ask you, what outcomes are you clinging to? What desires are you holding so tightly that they cannot breathe? Release them. Place them gently into the hands of the infinite and say, I trust this or something greater shall unfold. When you surrender, miracles multiply. When you let go, blessings flow. When you stop insisting, you begin receiving. Step 3 then is this: surrender the outcome. Let your desires be seeds planted in the soil of the infinite. Water them with trust. Shine upon them with stillness, and allow the great intelligence of life to bring the harvest in its perfect time, in its perfect way. And as you surrender, you will find yourself astonished, not only by what arrives, but by how gracefully it arrives. For life is not only capable of giving you what you desire, it is capable of giving you more, greater, and better than your imagination dared to conceive. So release the need to control, relax into the quantum, let miracles unfold. So, live as though it is already done. My friends, now that you have surrendered the outcome, we move to the 4th step: living as though your desire is already done. This is the great secret hidden in plain sight, the principle that turns dreams into flesh, that transforms invisible longings into visible realities. If you wish to see miracles unfold, you must embody the state of already having them. You must walk, speak, think, and feel as if your desire is not something to come, but something already yours. Why is this so? Because creation is not waiting to begin. It has already been completed. Everything you could ever want already exists in the unseen, in the great field of the quantum. What you call the future is simply the present, not yet experienced. And the way you bridge the unseen with the seen is by assuming the end, by stepping into the identity of the one who already possesses the thing you long for. Do you see the beauty of this? You do not have to chase your desire. You do not have to plead with life to give it to you. You simply become the person who has it. And life reflects that state back to you. The mirror of reality never fails. It always shows you who you are being. Think of an actor on stage. Before the curtain rises, they may still be themselves with their own doubts and concerns. But when the curtain goes up, they step fully into the role. They wear the costume. They embody the character. They move and speak as if they are that person. And in that moment, the audience believes it is real, because the actor has believed it first. You must do the same with your life. You must step into the role of the one who has already received the blessing. If you desire abundance, live as the abundant one. If you desire love, live as the loved and loving one. If you desire healing, live as the whole and vibrant one. This does not mean reckless spending, false boasting, or blind denial. No, it means embodying the feeling, the inner state, the posture of mind that matches your desire. When you do this, you are no longer sending a signal of lack into the quantum. You are no longer declaring, I do not have, I hope to have, I wish to have. Instead, you are declaring, I am, I already am. It is already done. And the universe, which is nothing but a great mirror, reflects that truth back into your world. Listen carefully. Living as though it is done is not a performance. It is not pretending. It is not daydreaming without conviction. It is an inner shift of identity. It is a knowing so deep that nothing can shake it. Even when circumstances contradict it, even when evidence seems lacking, you hold firm in the assumption, it is done, it is mine, it is unfolding right now. Think of a pregnant woman. Before anyone else can see, before her belly shows, before the baby is born, she knows she carries life within her. She does not doubt each day whether it is there. She does not plead with life to prove it. She knows she is pregnant, even before the outward sign. And so she prepares the nursery. She chooses names. She lives in anticipation of what is already hers. That is how you must live with your desires. Treat them as pregnancies of the soul. Carry them within you, knowing they are growing in the unseen. Do not waver. Do not uproot them with doubt. Do not beg for proof. Live in the assurance that their birth is inevitable. Many will say, but how can I live as though it is done when my senses tell me otherwise? And I say to you, your senses only show you the past. They show you the echo of old states you once embodied. If you wish to change what you see, you must first change who you are being. Living as though it is done means you no longer consult appearances to decide what is true. You decide, and then appearances follow. And here is the beauty: you need not wait for outward evidence to feel the joy of your desire. You can taste it now in your imagination. You can feel the gratitude now in your heart. You can rest in the peace of it now in your being. And when you do, you are no longer chasing happiness in the future. You are living in it now. Consider this. If you desired a new home, and you knew without question that it was already yours, how would you feel? Would you not walk lighter, breathe deeper, smile bright? If you desired a great love, and you knew that love was already yours, would you not feel secure, radiant and whole? That is the feeling you must carry. That is the vibration you must live in. For life cannot resist giving to the one who already. This is why surrender and living as though it is done are inseparable. You surrender the outcome because you know it is already done. You live as though it is done because you trust that the unseen is already arranging the scene. You no longer live in waiting. You live in fulfillment. And here lies a powerful secret. When you live as though it is done, life rearranges itself quickly to match your state. Doors open that were once closed. People arrive who were once strangers. Opportunities fall into your path as if by magic. But it is not magic. It is the law of reflection. You became the one who already had it, and reality had no choice but to agree. So tonight I urge you, do not wait for proof. Be the proof. Do not wait for evidence. Be the evidence. Step into the state now. Feel it. Breathe it. Embody it. And soon, the world will reflect it so clearly that others will call it a miracle. But you will know it was simply the natural outworking of the state you chose to live in. Step 4 then is this. Live as though it is already done. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Put on the state like a garment. Walk in it, rest in it, rejoice in it. For the moment you do, you align with the reality in which your desire is not only possible, not only probable, but inevitable. And as you live in that state, you will find life itself reshaping around you until what once seemed distant becomes your everyday reality. For the miracle is not something that comes to you. It is something that unfolds through you. The moment you dare to live as though it is already done. Cultivate unshakable faith in the invisible. Beloved friends, now that we have learned to live as though it is already done, we step into the next great pillar of this journey. Cultivating unshakable faith in the invisible. Faith is not a passive thing. Faith is not idle wishing, nor is it blind optimism. Faith is the knowing that what cannot yet be seen with the eyes is more real, more powerful, more certain than what is already seen. Faith is the bridge between your inner assumption and its outer manifestation. It is the unwavering stance of the soul that refuses to be shaken by appearances. Why is this step so vital? Because life will test you. Circumstances will rise up, as though to contradict your inner vision. Old patterns will try to reassert themselves. Doubt will whisper, nothing has changed. And it is in these moments that faith becomes your anchor. Without faith, you will waver. Without faith, you will collapse back into the old state. But with faith, true, unshakable faith, you stand immovable, knowing the unseen reality is already forming, even if the senses have not yet caught up. Let me remind you, the senses are always late. They are reporters of the past, not creators of the future. They reflect what you have already assumed and sustained. So if you base your conviction only on what you see now, you will forever be bound to what was, never stepping into what can be. Faith lifts you above the tyranny of appearances and plants you firmly in the reality of the unseen. Faith does not mean you never feel doubt. It means you choose not to bow to it. Faith does not mean the path is always smooth. It means you trust the outcome, even when the process seems uncertain. Faith does not mean you are reckless. It means you walk in quiet confidence, resting in the assurance that what you have claimed in consciousness is already yours. Consider the farmer who plants a seed. Does he dig up the ground each morning to check if it is growing? Does he panic because he cannot yet see the sprout? No, he waters it, he nurtures it, and he trusts the invisible work of life beneath the soil. He knows that in time, what is hidden will appear. This is faith, and so it must be with you. Your desires are seeds planted in the fertile soil of the quantum field. You may not yet see them, but they are alive. They are germinating in silence, drawing to themselves all they need to burst forth. And if you hold faith, you will see the harvest. If you abandon faith, you uproot the seed before it has the chance to grow. Faith also means persistence. It means holding the vision when the night is darkest, when the storm is fiercest, when the voices of doubt are loudest. It means choosing again and again to believe in the unseen over the seen, to value the promise of your inner knowing above the evidence of your sense. And let me tell you, faith has a fragrance. Those who truly walk in faith carry a lightness, a calm assurance. They do not fidget, they do not beg, they do not chase. They rest, knowing the outcome is already secure. They smile at circumstances that once would have frightened them, for they know those circumstances are already dissolving before their eyes. Faith makes you untouchable by fear, because you know what you know, and no one can take it from you. But here is the key. Faith must be cultivated. It is not always born in an instant. It grows by practice, by repetition, by choosing to return to your inner vision again and again, until it becomes more real to you than anything outside. Just as a muscle grows stronger with use, so too does faith. Each time you choose to trust the unseen, your faith grows. Each time you stand firm in the face of contradiction, your faith deepens, and soon your faith becomes unshakable. How do you cultivate such faith? You do it by immersing yourself daily in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You do it by rehearsing in imagination the life you have already claimed. You do it by speaking words of life and gratitude, rather than words of doubt and complaint. You do it by reminding yourself again and again that the unseen is the true reality. And here is something wonderful. Once faith becomes established, it begins to carry you. At first, you must practice faith, but later, faith itself sustains you, like a current in the river carrying you toward the sea. You no longer struggle to believe, it is simply natural. You no longer fight doubt, it simply fades. You are held, buoyed, uplifted by the very power of the unseen you have trusted. Let me give you an image. Imagine standing on the edge of a great invisible bridge. The destination you desire lies across the chasm, but you cannot see the bridge. To the eye it looks impossible, yet faith tells you the bridge is there. And when you take that first step, you discover the bridge appears beneath your foot. And when you take the next, it appears again. Step by step the invisible becomes visible, but only because you dared to trust it first. This is the life of faith. You do not see the entire path before you, but you know it is there. You do not demand proof before moving. You move and proof appears. You do not shrink back in fear, for you know the unseen is more certain than anything the eye could ever behold. And the reward of such faith, miracles. Not miracles as rare, random accidents, but miracles as the natural outworking of a consciousness that dares to believe. Faith draws the invisible into the visible. Faith calls the unformed into form. Faith transforms the impossible into the inevitable. So, dear ones, step 5 is this. Cultivate unshakable faith in the invisible. Anchor yourself in the unseen. Trust the process, even when appearances suggest otherwise. Nurture your vision as the farmer nurtures the seed, confident in its inevitable growth. And above all, persist, knowing that faith is not waiting for proof, but living as though proof is already yours. For the unseen is more real than the seen, and those who dare to trust it will witness the world itself bowing to their vision. 6. Release resistance and surrender to the flow. My friends, now that you have planted the seed of faith, it is time to enter into the great art of release, of letting go, of surrendering, of allowing the flow of life to carry you into the miracle you have already claimed. So many people make the mistake of clinging too tightly to their desire. They obsess, they fret, they keep checking the outer world for signs, they measure progress with their senses, and in doing so they strangle the very seed they have planted. The truth is this: what you hold with desperate hands, you push away. What you release into the flow of life, you allow to unfold with grace. Think of the river. The river does not struggle to reach the sea. It does not crash against the rocks, nor does it panic when it twists and turns. It flows, certain of its destiny. So too must you learn to flow, to surrender, to release resistance. For resistance is the great thief. It steals your peace, it steals your joy, and it delays the manifestation that is already on its way to you. Let us understand what resistance really is. Resistance is the energy of doubt, fear, and control. It is the restless questioning of when and how. It is the constant inner checking. Why hasn't it happened yet? It is the mental habit of rehearsing the absence rather than the presence of your desire. And every time you dwell in that state, you reinforce the very condition you wish to escape. But surrender, that is freedom. Surrender is not giving up. It is not resignation. It is not passivity. True surrender is the confident release of control, the joyful letting go of how and when, the quiet trust that the invisible intelligence of life is arranging all things in your favor. Surrender is leaning back into the current, knowing the flow will carry you to your destination with perfect precision. Think of the archer. When the bow is drawn, the archer does not cling to the arrow forever. At the right moment, he releases. Without release, the arrow cannot fly. Your desires are arrows of intention, and imagination is your bow. But once you have aimed and felt the target struck in consciousness, you must release. You must let it go into the unseen, where the laws of life will carry it to its mark. This is why so many struggle. They draw the bow, they feel the target, but then they refuse to let go. They hold, they strain, they obsess. And in doing so, they exhaust themselves. But when you release, you discover the effortless ease of manifestation. You discover that the universe knows more than you, that the intelligence within you and around you has infinite ways to deliver what you desire. Let me ask you, have you ever tried to fall asleep by effort? Have you ever clenched your fists, gritted your teeth, and demanded, "I must sleep now"? Of course not. Sleep comes when you let go. It comes when you stop trying. It comes when you surrender. And so it is with the realization of your desires. You cannot force it, you cannot demand it, you cannot control it into being. You must relax into it, let it go, and allow it to unfold. When you surrender, something beautiful happens. You return to the present moment. You stop living in anxious expectation, and you begin to live in peace. And from that peace, life flows. The present moment is the womb of creation. The more you relax into it, the more miracles unfold. Now hear this. Surrender is not laziness. It is not the absence of intention. It is the alignment of intention with trust. It is the union of desire with confidence. It is the art of taking inspired action when it arises, while resting in the knowing that the outcome is already certain. Resistance says, "I must figure it all out." Surrender says, "I trust the intelligence that is already at work." Resistance says, "I cannot rest until it arrives." Surrender says, "I rest because it has already arrived." Resistance says, "What if it doesn't have?" Surrender says, "It already has." Do you see the difference? One is heavy, the other is light. One is striving, the other is flowing. One delays, the other allows. And here is the paradox. When you release resistance, things happen faster. When you let go, the path clear. When you stop clutching, the very thing you desire finds its way to you effortlessly. It is as though the universe has been waiting for you to relax, so it can rush in with the gifts it has been holding. So how do we practice surrender? We begin by noticing where we are holding on. Where are you tense? Where are you impatient? Where are you demanding? Notice it, breathe, and let it go. Remind yourself, it is done. Speak words of release. I don't need to know how or when. I rest in the certainty that it is already mine. Practice gratitude in advance. Gratitude is a form of surrender. It says, "I already have it. Therefore I am at peace." Gratitude loosens the grip of worry and anchors you in the reality of your fulfilled desire. Practice relaxation of the body. The body often reveals where the mind resists. Breathe deeply. Release tension. Soften the jaw. unclench the fists. The more you relax physically, the easier it is to surrender mentally. And finally, practice trust. Each time doubt arises, see it as an opportunity to deepen your trust. Instead of wrestling with it, smile and return to your inner knowing. Say to yourself, all is unfolding in perfect timing. I release it, I trust it, I allow it. The truth is this: you are not here to force life. You are here to flow with it. You are not here to carry the burden of control. You are here to rest in the assurance that what you have claimed is already secure. Release resistance, surrender to the flow, and watch how swiftly, how beautifully, how effortlessly the miracles unfold. So dear friends, step 6 is this: release resistance and surrender to the flow. Stop clutching, stop doubting, stop demanding, relax, trust, let go. For what you have released with faith cannot miss you. What you have surrendered in love must return to you multiplied. And what you allow to flow will always arrive with greater grace than anything you could afford. Let go and let life astonish you. 7. Live from the end. Walk in the reality already won. Beloved friends, now that you have planted the seed, nourished it with imagination, and released it with surrender, it is time to enter the great art of living from the end. This is the step where all the wisdom we have spoken becomes flesh, where your inner knowing begins to walk in the outer world. To live from the end means this: you assume the position of one who already possesses the thing desired. You carry yourself as one who already knows the victory is complete. You speak, you act, you move, and you feel from the certainty that the outcome is secured. Let me tell you something: this step is not about pretending, and it is not about faking. It is not about forcing yourself to wear a mask of confidence. Living from the end is about embodying the inner state that already exists in the unseen. It is aligning your life with the truth you have already claimed in consciousness. Imagine for a moment a great actor stepping onto the stage. The script has already been written, the ending already determined. The actor does not wonder whether the story will conclude. He knows it. He walks, he speaks, he breathes as though the finale is guaranteed. You too are the actor of your life. The script is written in your imagination. The ending is secure. And your task now is to live from it as if it is the most natural thing in the world. What does this look like in practice? It means your language changes. Instead of speaking of what you hope for, you speak of what you know. Instead of saying, I will one day have, you say, I already am. Instead of carrying the posture of longing, you carry the posture of having. Think of the one who has already succeeded. They do not walk with desperation. They walk with ease, with quiet confidence, with the lightness of one who knows their destiny is assured. So must you, for when you live from the end, you are rehearsing the reality of your desire until it becomes second nature. And soon, the world conforms to the pattern you have established within. Now let us be clear. Living from the end is not delusion. It is alignment. It is not denial of circumstances. It is mastery over them. Circumstances are shadows, effects, outcomes of inner states. They are not causes. To live from the end is to bypass the noise of appearances and walk straight into the truth that all is finished within you. This requires courage, for the senses will tempt you to believe in lack, in delay, in limitation. They will whisper, but look, it has not yet arrived. And if you believe them, you will sink back into doubt. But if you persist in the inner knowing, if you walk as though the miracle is already yours, then life itself will bend to your conviction. Ask yourself this question: how would I think, feel, and behave if I already had the thing I desire? How would I wake up in the morning? How would I carry myself in conversation? How would I treat others? How would I see myself in the mirror? These questions are the doorway into living from the end. When you answer them sincerely and begin to practice the state, something extraordinary happens. You no longer feel like you are waiting. Waiting implies distance. Waiting implies lack. But when you live from the end, you step into the present reality of your desire. You shorten the gap between where you are and where you long to be. And in that state, the outer world has no choice but to catch up with the inner conviction. Consider the seed in the soil. The farmer waters it not because he hopes it might one day grow, but because he knows it will. He treats the soil as though the harvest is already contained within it. That is living from the end. It is tending to life as though the fruit is inevitable. This is why so many never see their desires fulfilled. They continue to live as seekers rather than receivers. They continue to vibrate with longing rather than fulfillment. They say one day, and in doing so they push the dream into the horizon of time. But when you say now, when you embody the state of fulfillment, the dream is pulled into the present. Let us practice this now. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the life you long for. Picture yourself at the end of the journey, the desire realized, the victory complete. Now feel the weight of it in your body. Feel the joy in your chest, the lightness in your step, the peace in your mind. Do not wait for it to arrive. Enter it now. Walk in it now. Own it now. And tomorrow when you rise, carry that same state into your day. Let your words reflect it. Let your posture declare it. Let your actions align with it. For you are not hoping for it. You are living from it. But hear me on this. Living from the end does not mean ignoring reality. If you need food, you eat. If you need work, you work. If you need to take steps, you take them. But through it all, you hold the inner knowing that these actions are not the cause, they are the natural outflow of a reality already established within. This is the great secret. When you live from the end, action becomes joyful rather than burdensome. Effort becomes flow rather than struggle. Why? Because you are not working to create something, you are simply expressing what is already true. Friends, life is a mirror. It reflects to you the state you occupy. If you live from lack, lack multiplies. If you live from longing, longing continues. But if you live from fulfillment, fulfillment must reveal itself. It is law. It cannot be otherwise. So step 7 is this. Live from the end. Walk in the reality already won. Speak as the victor. Move as the fulfilled. Breathe as the free. Refuse to wait. Refuse to long. Refuse to beg. Instead, embody the state of already being. And as you do, the world will rise to meet you. Imagine a king who doubts his crown, who questions whether he truly sits on the throne. His people will sense it. His reign will falter. But imagine a king who knows, who embodies his royalty, who lives from the certainty of his power. His kingdom flourishes because his conviction flows into every corner of it. You too must reign from the throne of fulfillment within yourself. My friends, this is the art of living as though it is already done. This is the power of walking in the end while the middle still unfolds. And when you master this step, you will find that the waiting vanishes, the struggle dissolves, and the joy of fulfillment enters your life before the evidence even appears. Live from the end, and you will find that the end comes rushing into the present. A persistence beyond appearances. Friends, we have reached a step that is both the simplest and the hardest. Persistence. For what good is the seed if it is abandoned after planting? What use is the vision if it is dropped at the first sign of delay? Persistence is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. It is the steady heartbeat that keeps the dream alive when the world has not yet caught up. You see, anyone can believe for a moment. Anyone can imagine for a night. Anyone can speak the words of victory when they feel inspired. But the true test of mastery is whether you can hold the state when appearances contradict you, when circumstances mock you, when the evidence seems to scream the opposite of what you know within. This is where persistence steps in, not as blind stubbornness, but as steady faith. Persistence is not about gritting your teeth and forcing the world to change. It is about remaining anchored in the inner truth regardless of what the outer scene tries to suggest. Let me paint this picture. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. The vision of the statue is alive in his mind. Every stroke of his chisel is guided not by the stone he sees, but by the image he knows. Day after day he persists, though to the outside observer it may look like nothing but rough stone. Only he knows what is hidden within. Eventually what was invisible to all becomes visible to all. This is persistence. You carry the vision in your heart and continue to act, to feel, to live as though it is done, even when the marble of circumstance has not yet revealed the form. And here is the paradox. It is often just before the miracle breaks forth that the temptation to give up feels strongest. Have you noticed this? Just before dawn, the night feels darkest. Just before the harvest, the labor feels hardest. And just before the breakthrough, the resistance feels heaviest. So many souls abandon their dream at the very edge of its fulfillment because they cannot see the roots growing beneath the soil. But persistence says, hold steady, stay faithful, keep walking, for though you cannot yet see it, the unseen is at work. Now let us be honest. Persistence requires discipline of thought. It is easy to let the mind wander back into fear, doubt, or complaint. It is easy to rehearse the problem rather than the solution. But persistence demands that you return again and again to the vision. When the mind drifts, you gently bring it back. When fear whispers, you answer with faith. When delay tempts you to quit, you remind yourself the outcome is already secured. Think of the river carving through the rock. It does not succeed through force or violence, but through persistence. Drop by drop, flow by flow, it shapes the unshakable. So too must you. Each time you return to the state of fulfillment, each time you choose the vision over the appearance, you carve deeper channels for your desire to flow into reality. Some will say, but I tried, and it did not work. To them I answer, did you persist? Did you hold the state beyond appearances? Or did you abandon it when the outer world did not bow instantly? For manifestation is not a vending machine. It is a living process, and persistence is the soil in which the seed matures. Let us speak also of joy in persistence. Do not imagine persistence as heavy labor. It is not drudgery. It is delight. When you persist in a state of fulfillment, you are rehearsing joy, practicing peace, embodying victory. Each return to the vision is a taste of the feast to come. So persistence is not suffering. It is savoring the future in the present. But I must warn you, persistence does not mean clinging with desperation. It does not mean checking the soil every hour to see if the seed has sprouted. That is not persistence. That is impatience. True persistence is calm, steady, and confident. It is the quiet assurance of one who knows the law is at work. When you persist correctly, you are not striving. You are resting. You are not begging. You are embodying. You are not doubting. You are trusting. And in that rest, the world is reshaped. Now let us practice this together. Think again of your deepest desire. See it in your mind. Feel it in your heart. Let it become real to you. And now say to yourself, no matter what the world shows me, I persist in this truth. No matter what the delay, I remain faithful. No matter what the appearance, I hold to the end. Friends, persistence is not glamorous. It will not always feel like fireworks or breakthroughs. Often it is quiet, subtle, unseen. It is the choice you make in the privacy of your own mind to remain faithful to the unseen. And yet this quiet choice moves mountains, shifts worlds, transforms lives. I tell you this, the one who persists cannot fail. They may stumble, they may doubt, they may fall for a moment. But if they rise again, if they return once more to the vision, they will surely see it fulfilled. For persistence bends reality. Persistence dissolves resistance. Persistence calls the invisible into the visible. Think of water dripping on stone. One drop seems powerless. Two drops seem weak. But after years the stone is split. Was it the last drop that broke it? No. It was the persistence of all the drops together. So too with your vision. Every return to the end state. Every choice of faith over fear. Every rehearsal of joy over worry is a drop, and one day, the wall of circumstance crumbles, not because of one effort but because of the persistence of all. So here is your charge for step 8. Persist beyond appearances, persist beyond delay, persist beyond doubt, for the promise is sure, and the outcome is guaranteed, but only to the one who refuses to quit. When you wake tomorrow, remind yourself, I live in the end, I persist in the truth, I rest in the unseen. When fear arises, return to the vision. When doubt whispers, return to the state. When delay frustrates, return to the joy. For the one who persists cannot be denied. And when at last the outer world yields, when your desire blossoms into form, you will see that it was persistence that carried you through, not talent, not luck, not chance. Persistence, the simple, steady choice to remain faithful to the vision within. So friends, let this be your banner. I persist until it manifests. I persist until it lives. I persist until it breathes. And in that persistence, you will discover that the dream was never far from you. It was always yours, waiting only for you to persist in claiming it. 9. Gratitude is the language of fulfillment. My friends, as we advance deeper into this journey, we arrive at a step that carries quiet power, a force so subtle that many overlook it, yet so mighty that it shapes the entire atmosphere of your being. That step is gratitude. Gratitude is not a polite formality. It is not a social nicety or a habit taught by manners. Gratitude is the language of fulfillment. It is the signal to life itself that you already possess what your heart desires. It is the vibration of completion, the fragrance of victory, the echo of dreams made real. Let us speak plainly, one who is truly grateful cannot be in lack. For gratitude does not spring from what the eye see. It springs from what the spirit knows. Gratitude is born not from appearances but from awareness. When you give thanks as if the dream is already yours, you align yourself with the reality in which it is true. Think of this. A child who receives a gift does not question whether it is theirs. Their eyes light up. Their heart overflows. And gratitude flows effortlessly. They do not ask, but will it really happen? Will it stay with me? Will it come tomorrow? No. Their thanks is instant, certain, pure. That is the gratitude we must embody. Not hesitant, not doubtful, not conditional. Pure gratitude that celebrates the fulfillment before the senses confirm it. And here lies the mystery. Gratitude is both the seed and the harvest. When you give thanks ahead of time, you water the seed. And when you give thanks after the manifestation, you celebrate the harvest. In both cases, gratitude keeps the heart fertile and the spirit alive. I want you to consider this carefully. There are two ways to live. One is to complain about what is missing. The other is to celebrate what is present. The first multiplies lack. The second multiplies abundance. For life always echoes back the song we sing. If we sing of emptiness, life gives us more to complain about. If we sing of fullness, life gives us more to celebrate. So ask yourself, what is the song of my life? Do I wake each day rehearsing worries and complaints, doubts? Or do I wake each day rehearsing thanks, joy and expectation? The choice may seem small, but it shapes the entire world you experience. And here is the great secret. Gratitude is not limited to what has already happened. True gratitude is given for the unseen as though it were already visible. When you give thanks for the job before the offer comes, you prepare the atmosphere for it to arrive. When you give thanks for health before the healing manifests, you create the soil in which wholeness grows. When you give thanks for love before the relationship appears, you call it forth with certainty. Gratitude is the proof of faith. Anyone can be thankful after the blessing is visible, but the one who is thankful before the blessing arrives has already aligned themselves with its reality. And to such a one, life cannot withhold the promise. I will tell you plainly, the world does not resist gratitude. It bends to it. It responds to it. Gratitude disarms obstacles, melts resistance, and draws circumstances into harmony. For when you give thanks, you declare that the outcome is settled, that the victory is secure, that the gift is already given. Let us practice this now. Think of the desire that burns in your heart. Picture it clearly, feel it deeply, and now, thank life for it. Speak it inwardly. Thank you for this gift. Thank you that it is already mine. Thank you that it is here now. As you say this, notice how the energy shifts. The desire no longer feels distant. It feels present. The weight of waiting dissolves into the lightness of receiving. That is the power of gratitude. And you may ask, but what if I do not feel thankful? What if the circumstances seem too harsh, too empty? Then begin with the smallest things. Give thanks for breath. Give thanks for sunlight. Give thanks for the ability to imagine, for the ability to hope, for the ability to stand here today. Gratitude grows by practice. It is not forced. It is cultivated. And as you cultivate it, it spreads into every area of your life, until even the unseen blessings become real through the lens of your thanks. Remember this. Gratitude is not denial of reality. It is not pretending pain does not exist. It is choosing to give more attention to what is possible than to what is broken. Gratitude is not ignoring the storm. It is celebrating the rainbow you know is forming behind the clouds. And here is the miracle. When you live in gratitude, even delays become part of the gift. Even struggles become part of the blessing. For you begin to see that everything is conspiring to bring about the good you have imagined. Gratitude transforms not only what you receive, but how you perceive. Do you understand now why gratitude must be step 9? We have spoken of imagination, of faith, of persistence, but without gratitude, all of these can become heavy. Gratitude lightens the journey. Gratitude makes persistence a joy instead of a burden. Gratitude transforms faith from struggle into celebration. Think of the farmer who sows the seed. Each day he waters it. Each day he tends it. But he also gives thanks in advance. For he knows the harvest is certain. He does not worry each morning. Will the seed grow? Will the earth betray me? No. He moves with quiet confidence, with gratitude already forming in his heart. And when the harvest arrives, it feels not like a surprise, but like a fulfillment of what he already knew. So I say to you tonight, let gratitude be your dwelling place. When you wake, give thanks. When you walk, give thanks. When you breathe, give thanks. Let every step you take be an offering of gratitude for the life you are shaping. And as you do, you will discover something extraordinary. Gratitude does not just change what you receive. It changes who you are. It transforms the anxious heart into a peaceful one. It transforms the restless soul into a joyful one. It transforms the fearful mind into a confident one. Gratitude makes you magnetic, radiant, irresistible to good. So here is your call to action. Begin now. Do not wait until the manifestation arrives. Begin tonight, in this very moment. Thank life for your fulfilled desire. Thank life for the unseen gift. Thank life for the promise that is already yours. And as you do, you will feel the shift, the lightness, the certainty that only gratitude can bring. Step 9 is simple, but it is powerful. Live in gratitude, for gratitude is the language of fulfillment. Speak it, feel it, embody it, and life will echo it back in forms too marvelous for you to imagine. 10. Rest in the assurance of completion. My friends, tonight we arrive at the final step. The culmination of all that has been spoken, the seal upon the vision, the last stone set upon the foundation of your inner journey. And this final step is rest, not the rest of exhaustion, not the rest of surrender to defeat, but the rest that comes from knowing the work is already complete. Rest is the quiet crown of faith. It is the assurance that what has been imagined is already accomplished. It is the posture of the soul that no longer struggles, no longer strains, no longer begs, because it knows that the outcome is secure. So many live their lives in a constant state of striving, always reaching, always grasping, always laboring as if the blessing is far away. They wear themselves thin with effort, with worry, with doubt. But I tell you, the moment you truly accept the fulfillment within, you can rest, and in that rest the miracle unfolds. Rest is not idleness. Rest is not giving up. Rest is the evidence of certainty. Rest is the sign that you have entered into the reality of your desire so fully that you no longer feel the need to push. You no longer ask, when will it come? How will it happen? Who will bring it? You know it is done. You know it is yours. And so you live in calm expectation, like the sun that rises each morning without struggle, without strain. Think of this. When an architect designs a great building, he does not worry each day whether the blueprint is real. He rests in the confidence that the builders will follow the design. In the same way, when you have designed your life inwardly, when you have felt its reality, when you have given thanks for its fulfillment, your only task now is to rest. For the great builder of life, call it spirit, call it law, call it the unseen order, will bring it forth in time. And here is the paradox. It is in rest that the greatest activity occurs. While you rest inwardly, life moves outwardly. While you release the burden, the unseen currents arrange the circumstances. While you sit in assurance, the invisible threads weave together the fabric of your desire. Rest is not passive. It is the most active form of faith. Let us be clear. Rest does not mean you stop living. Rest does not mean you sit idle and do nothing. Rest means that everything you do is done without anxiety, without desperation, without the shadow of fear. You still act, you still move, but you do so in peace, knowing that every step is guided. You no longer chase, you allow. You no longer force, you flow. You no longer plead, you trust. Do you see the difference? One person works with worry, and their labor feels heavy, draining, endless. Another person works with rest in their heart, and their actions feel light, inspired, joyful. Both are moving, both are active, but only one is truly resting inwardly, and that rest is the sign of certainty. This, my friends, is the highest step. For what greater proof of faith can there be than rest? Anyone can say they believe while they are still worrying, still waiting, still grasping, but the one who truly believes rests, the one who knows rests, the one who has entered into completion rests. Consider the seed in the earth. The farmer does not dig it up each morning to see if it is growing. He rests in the knowledge that it is working in silence and darkness, unseen. He goes about his days with quiet assurance, and in due season the seed rises. So it is with you. Once you have planted your desire in imagination, once you have watered it with gratitude, your final step is to rest, to let it be, to live in the joy of its certainty. And this rest brings a profound peace. No longer do you feel the need to prove, to justify, no longer do you live with the tension of waiting. You simply live as one who knows, and in that knowing, the world bends to you. So tonight I say to you, lay down the burden of striving. Release the anxiety of delay. Let go of the endless questioning of when, where. None of these belong to you. Your only task is to enter the state of fulfillment and rest there. Rest in joy, rest in gratitude, rest in certainty. And from that place, life will flow with ease, and your miracles will come clothed in perfect time. This step is the closing, yet it is also the beginning. For when you learn to rest in completion, you discover that life is not a constant chase for the next desire. You realize that you can live each moment in peace, each moment in fullness, each moment in celebration of what already is. Rest does not mean the end of creation. It means the beginning of effortless creation. It means that you no longer create from lack, from need, from struggle, but from joy, from abundance, from ease. You create not because you must, not because you are desperate, but because you are free. And here lies the final transformation. When you rest in completion, you no longer see life as something to conquer. You see it as something to embrace. You no longer fight against the current. You flow with it. And in that flow, life becomes not a battlefield, but a symphony. Not a burden, but a dance. Not a struggle, but a celebration. This is the final step, the closing of the circle. Rest in the assurance of completion. Know it is done. Live as though it is done. Feel the peace of it being done. And watch as life unfolds in ways more beautiful, more perfect, more effortless than you could have ever forced with struggle. So tonight, take a breath, release the weight, enter the silence of rest, and in that silence, hear the whisper that says, "It is finished, it is done, it is yours," and let that be the seal upon your journey.